Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, Toastmasters and guests. Now, we're assembled here today because you are all interested in the youth of this country. Now, exactly what is the Youth Leadership Program? Well, it's pretty simple. It's an 8-week program where you give 1 hour of your time or more each week to a group of students. And basically what we do in a Youth Leadership Program is we do exactly what we do here, slightly modified, because we're dealing with little children now. Now, little 11 and 12-year-olds in this particular case that I'm speaking about, they're like those little, you ever get those little black ants that run around on your kitchen table or someplace because they found sugar? Well, that's what these kids are like. They're like kids on steroids. And actually, it's really just sugar. So you want to take what we do here in Toastmasters, Tabletop X, icebreaker speeches. For those that don't know, an icebreaker is your first speech. It's your speech about yourself. Can we all speak about ourselves? A trip, our dog, our cat, our friends, anything, any type of great story. Well, basically, that's what we do in youth leadership. Now, whether you know it or not, in 8 weeks, there's 1,344 hours. Now, how many of you are willing to give up just 1 hour a week? Only 8 hours out of the 1,344. Is there anybody in this room that thinks they can't do that for the future of our country? And maybe even Canada. But now I want to tell you a kind of a story. The story involves 2 gentlemen. One by the name of Norman Burlock. Anybody ever heard of Norman? Nobody. Well, Norman is credited with saving the lives of, they claim, billions of people. Because he went into these impoverished countries and he taught people how to double their crops by the use of chemical fertilizers. Countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan and India. And for this, Mr. Burlock received the Nobel Prize. Now also there's a second story. The name of the gentleman is Muhammad Yunus. Has anybody heard of Muhammad? 1. Now Muhammad's story is just a little different. He was a professor of finance. And he sat in his office in the school in Bangladesh, and each day he looked out the window and he saw these people on the streets with nothing. And he said, what could I do to change their lives? So one day he decided, he dug into his wallet, he took out $2. And he went out on the street. And he went up to somebody and he offered the $2 as a business loan. Now, most of us know with $2 you can't even buy a cup of coffee, certainly not at Starbucks. But in Bangladesh, $2 could be like 100, maybe even 1,000. So with just a handshake, he made a deal. And those people went out and they took that $2 or that $5 or whatever it was, a very small amount of money, and they created their own little businesses. And you know what else amazing thing happened? They all paid back the money. Now today, we have what's called the Garment Bank. Some of you may have heard of it. and the theory of the government bank is what we call microfinance. Now, there have been others also that have picked up on what the professor did and have created their own microfinance type ideas. So Muhammad also received a Nobel Prize. Now, how does that relate to youth leadership? I bet you want to know. It's because what you can do as a leader, you can take one child and you can implant in their brain this Toastmaster ideal, this learning, this confidence, this ability to go out into the world now and not be scared to death to make a presentation, whether it be your first job interview or whether it be before 150 people, or whether it be the President of the United States. So now let me just read you a letter that I received from one of my students, so you kind of know how I got to where I am at this point. The letter is by Lauren B. It says, "I love Toastmasters thanks to one special person, Mr. York. Over the past several weeks, our class have had the honor of the mentoring of Mr. York Somerville in Toastmasters Youth Leadership Program. Mr. York, as we called him, always came to our class with a positive attitude. It was almost like he enjoyed working with us. Something not many people would do. York taught us things like organization, organizing our speeches, being good listeners, voice projection, the use of gestures. We learned how to give and receive constructive criticism through our evaluation guide. Most importantly, he taught us speaking in front of people is not our number one fear. Number two being death, of course. At this time, we would like to show our appreciation to Mr. York with a few memorable gifts. Mr. York, please join me at the lecture. First, they gave me a shirt from the Pasadena family. Second, a stopwatch. That's so you no longer have to endanger your fancy phone. And third, a photo album, so you'll never forget us. And as Franklin Delano Roosevelt said this about public speaking: be sincere, be brief, and be seated. As I would. Now I want to just read a couple more of these letters. Now actually, I did forget the book with the photos tonight, so I'm using this as the book. All 26 students, along with their photos, wrote me a small letter, and they gave me this book and this presentation, and these are some of the letters. Stop. Yes, there you go. It's an iPad. It says, Mr. York, Toastmasters is awesome and you're awesome. Thank you for coaching us about speaking in table topics. You taught me a lot of weird facts about random things. Thank you for all you taught us. Mr. York, I have learned a lot about Toastmasters. Without you, I would still have stage fright. But you helped me through it. You probably are the most funny and knowledgeable Toastmaster I've ever met. Dear friend, Bryson. Now I'm going to read you one of the best ones. It's only 26 years. Dear Mr. York, as you slide down the banister of life, may the splinters never point the wrong way. It's in quotes, an Irish lesson. And hopefully you will not fall off until the end. And at the end, may you land softly on your feet, ending by calm. So, ladies and gentlemen, this book is my Nobel Prize. So now I hope today that you also would like to seek your Nobel Prize. Is there anybody in this room would like to get a Nobel Prize like that? Many? You see, the thing is, you can't buy that book. And that's something that I will take with me everywhere for life. That's as important as maybe your baby's photos or your family photos from your first vacation or that dog that you loved or whatever it may be. It's so important. But most it's important is because you were able to take and form those young skulls full of mush with this Toastmaster ideal. You're able to take your knowledge, your experience, your life, and mentor somebody else. And this is so important and so valuable. I can't express it strong enough. And I really do hope that some of you in this room will take this as a goal. Now, I do recommend a few things. First, I would not attempt this program without first have completed your first 10 speeches. Second, it's not easy. You have to be a teacher, in a sense. You have to be a Toastmaster. And you also have to be a disciplinarian. So now you want to ask the question. You're thinking, well, where do I do this program? It can be an after-school program. It can be an after-church program. It can be a Saturday morning program. Or I recommend the best place to give the program is in the school. Now, why do I say that? Because with students, they have very busy lives. And if you say, okay, well, we're going to have this meeting on Saturday morning, there's a good chance they're not going to show up. Because they had to do something important like sleeping in. Or maybe they had gymnastics. Or maybe they had soccer. But in the classroom, they're pretty much going to be there. And they all will participate. They may not think it's cool in the beginning, but once they get involved in it, once they see Jill stand up and they see Rob stand up and they give their little speech or their little table topics, they say, I can do that. And they all do it and they love it. And they love evaluating each other. Because in the youth leadership manual that they get, there's also an evaluation page, just like we have evaluations with all the speeches that we do. They do the same thing. And it's great. And if you're lucky enough that you can get into a fundamental school where it's a special program, you could get an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now, I had 26 students, and we had an hour and a half, and pretty much every single week, every student got to participate. They got to do a table topic, or a assigned speech, or to be an evaluator. Because first of all, they don't speak very long. It's more like table topics than this kind of speeches we're used to, because remember, they're 11, 12 years old. But it doesn't matter. The important point is that they're speaking and they're overcoming that fear. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all you need to do to win your Nobel Prize.